You have hundreds of contacts in your pocket. You can reach almost anyone on Earth in seconds. And yet, sitting in a crowded place, surrounded by glowing screens, you can feel entirely isolated. We often treat this feeling as a personal social failure, a passing mood, or a simple symptom of depression. This bar chart compares the mortality risk of chronic loneliness directly against other health hazards. Julianne Holt-Lenstad's data shows that living with chronic isolation increases your risk of death by the same margin as smoking 15 cigarettes every day. Your body actively degrades, your immune system deteriorates, your sleep architecture becomes fragmented, and your cardiovascular system becomes highly reactive. These symptoms suggest loneliness functions as a life-threatening physical emergency, one that triggers even when you are physically safe. To understand why our bodies react so violently, we have to look at the work of neuroscientist John Cacioppo. He spent decades at the University of Chicago, rewriting the biological definition of human connection. He discovered that loneliness operates exactly like hunger or physical pain. It is an internal alarm system, alerting you that a biological requirement for survival is missing. Your nervous system is running an ancient threat detection program, but that program has lost its calibration in our modern environment. You are surrounded by digital networks and physical crowds, yet your body is triggering a life or death biological siren. For 300,000 years, human beings lived exclusively in tightly bound groups of 20 to 50 people. Solitude was biologically impossible. In the harsh ancestral hunter-gatherer environment, separation from the group meant almost certain death. Predators hunted solo humans. Resources were impossible to gather alone. Because of this, the ancient brain evolved to recognize highly specific sensory inputs as safety. It looked for the sound of breathing nearby, the ability to read micro-expressions on a familiar face, and movement in your peripheral vision. If the biological alarm for isolation went off, your ancestors had a simple, immediate solution. They just had to walk 50 feet and rejoin the physical proximity of the group. Your modern nervous system still strictly requires these exact, high-bandwidth physical inputs to register that you are safe. Contrast that ancient physical solution with what you do today. When the alarm goes off, you reflexively try to soothe the biological panic by texting someone, scrolling through a feed, or watching a stream. Neuroscientist Stephanie Cacioppo conducted fMRI imaging studies to see how lonely brains process these digital social cues. This is a side-by-side brain scan schematic showing the neurological anomaly she found. When you receive a digital notification, the signal arrives, but the brain's reward and cognitive processing centers fail to fully activate because it lacks physical proof. Researcher Sherry Turkle at MIT documented a similar disconnect when studying modern digital communication. She observed that digital connection creates a paradoxical state. As she puts it, digital connection signals presence but delivers absence, which completely confuses your ancient threat detector. This confusion gets even worse in person. When you sit next to someone who is entirely distracted by a screen, a behavior known as phubbing, your brain interprets their lack of attention as social rejection and abandonment. Technology floods your nervous system with unusable noise. It makes actual biological safety much harder to secure in a crowd than when you are truly alone. We are also fighting against the hard-coded limits of human cognition, a constraint detailed by evolutionary anthropologist Robin Dunbar at Oxford University. This network diagram illustrates what is known as the Dunbar number. The human neocortex can only genuinely maintain about 150 relationships. Once the node count surpasses 150, connection degrades into mere performance. Your ancestors knew with absolute certainty that they belonged to their small group. Today, you are forced to constantly compete for attention in a limitless, psychologically exhausting feed. Our modern distress comes from forcing an ancient processing system to handle a volume and shallowness of connection it simply cannot parse. Psychologist Susan Pinker discovered exactly what that ancient system needs when she studied a village of centenarians in Sardinia. She found that the primary factor in their extreme longevity and health was not their diet or their genetics. It was daily, high-bandwidth face-to-face contact. Your nervous system demands a highly specific physical antidote. It needs undivided attention, close physical proximity, and the certain knowledge that someone is choosing your presence over a screen. The pain of modern loneliness suggests your brain is working exactly as it was designed to. The only viable way to silence the alarm is to choose analog presence over digital accessibility.